GotGame.com, all the game you want and then some.
William Shakespeare, 1564 AD to whenever he died, was well known for borrowing from existing literature when writing his plays. Romeo and Juliet is pretty much lifted entirely from Arthur Brooks' poem The Tragical History of Romeus and Juliet. Dude didn't even change the names. And as recent Shakespeare scholarship has established, the famed play William Shakespeare Presents Hamlet was lifted wholesale from the volume you are about to enjoy. To Be or Not to Be. To Be or Not to Be is both the earliest recorded example of the books as game genre, as well as the first instance ever in the then newish English language that was kicking around of an adventure being chosen by you, the reader. We've gone ahead and added illustrations, plus we've taken the liberty of marking with tiny York skulls the choices Shakespeare himself made when he plagiarized this book back in olden times. They're there in case you wish to put yourself in Shakespeare's shoes, reading this book as he did, stealing plot elements wholesale, and classing up the language as he/you went/go. However, that is not the only way to read this book. Feel free to explore your other options, as each time you read this book, you can go on a different adventure, assuming you don't read the book like 3 quadrillion times, at which point the adventures will start to repeat, and they'll probably seem pretty familiar long before then anyway. Now, take yourself back to history, when ghosts walked the earth and nobody knew velociraptors were even a thing. Steel yourself to experience the magic of Shakespeare as it was meant to be experienced, in a non-deterministic narrative structure, where you end up thinking maybe you made a wrong decision, so you mark the pages you were just on, so you can always go back and make a different choice if you die for some dumb reason. To be or not to be, that is the adventure. Choose your character. Man, what if I just read the acknowledgments instead? You have just been born. Congratulations, good work on that thing. Now, surprise! Babies are boring, so we're going to jump ahead in time to a point where you're an adult, and you've already lived a bunch of your life. But I promise most of what we're skipping over was really dull. You ate a lot and slept a lot and made some friends, tears were shed, makeouts were totally had, etc. It was a bunch of high school stuff. The awesome stuff starts now. So, let's begin, my friend. Remind me again who you are. Are you Ophelia? She's an awesome lady in her late 20s with a calm, competent, and resourceful demeanor. She's got a +1 bonus to science, but she's also got a -1 weakness against water, so heads up. Hamlet? He's an emo teen in his early 30s. Also, he's the Prince of Denmark. Hamlet has a +1 resistance to magic, but there's no magic in this adventure, so this never gets mentioned again as of right now. Hamlet Sr.? He's the king of Denmark, 50 years old. He's super good at fighting and leading men into battle in naps. Let's say +1 to each? Look, bottom line, he's an unstoppable machine of death, and should you choose to be him, you may experience kingly glory. You are King Hamlet. All of Denmark is under your command. Everything's going so great for you. At present, you are in Norway, where just this afternoon, you led Denmark's forces to an astounding victory during which you personally killed the Norwegian king. Stabbed him right through the head, you did. His eye popped out and rolled on the ground, and then you stepped on it. Whoa, your ass is bad. You are a badass. You decide after a day of being good at fighting, you should have a nap. You've earned it. You settle down in an orchard for some nappy times. During your delightful rest, your brother pours some poison in your ear, and you die. Surprise! You didn't know poisons work that way. Wow, you've barely made one choice so far, and you're dead already. Way to go, champ. You're really good at books, huh? It's just a stellar job you're doing here, Chuckles. The end. Okay, fine. I feel sorry for you. Here's a choice that you can choose. Good news! The afterlife exists, and it's full of ghosts. You know this because you're now one of them. You get to spend all your time slamming doors, rattling chains, and telling on the person who killed you. But here's the thing. I, the author, told you, the reader, that your brother poured poison in your ear while you napped. But you, as Hamlet Sr., have no idea how you died. You slept through the whole thing, so you need to figure out who killed you if you're going to revenge yourself on your murderer, assuming you even were murdered. Because remember that, for all you know, you could have died of a heart attack. This is an example of dramatic irony. Only since we're in the second person, it's an amazing example of an entirely new species of dramatic irony. something I'm going to call second-person pronoun paradoxical autodramatic irony. You are now aware of information that you're not aware of. This should be fun. Except that you died of a heart attack. Listen in on people's conversations and see if any of them talk about how they totally killed you. You hang around Norway for a bit, trying to listen in on what people are saying, but they're all speaking Norwegian. You only speak Danish, so understanding Norwegian is a little difficult. It all sounds like Swedish to you, which actually makes a lot of sense, since Danish, Norwegian, and Swedish are all related North Germanic languages, descended from early linguistic differentiation between regular Germanic speakers and North Germanic speakers around 200 AD. You nod your head, agreeing that all of this is both accurate and extremely interesting. While these three languages are generally supposed to be mutually intelligible, you find you can understand Norwegian speakers only if you're concentrating, which you are, and if they're speaking slowly and clearly, which they're not, as everyone is running around upset about war, and all these kings getting killed. Ironically, Norwegian speakers can understand Danish easier than Danish speakers understand Norwegian, but that doesn't help you much. That would only be useful if you were playing as a Norwegian king, whose ghost is stowed away on your army's boat headed back to Denmark. But I haven't given you that option, even though it would be extremely awesome. If you're wondering what happens to this vengeful ghost king, I can tell you only this: the answer exists in your imagination. But here's the good news. It turns out written Danish and written Norwegian are actually pretty similar. So you spend the next several nights haunting people, quietly reading their diaries while they sleep peacefully in their beds. And you don't know this, but ghosts do this all the time. Ghosts just